All right, so it's 5:30, so we'll get started here. So we'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, do we have quorum?
Mr. Chair, there is quorum.
Okay, and I believe there's a motion to be presented by Councillor Allen to bring a motion forward, motion 8A, to adjust the agenda. Am I moving too fast?
Yes, Mr. Chair, if you will, I'd like to move the item 8A to the beginning. Thank you. To the beginning of the agenda. Okay. So then it's to pay the rest of our in-camera business more easily.
Okay, so there's a motion to move item 8A forward in the agenda. Do we have a seconder for that? Okay, Councillor Holland seconds that. So any debate on that? No? All in favor? That's approved. Okay, so now we need to approve the agenda as amended. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Perfect. Okay, so that's approved. And now we'll have confirmation of the minutes from the previous meeting. Moved by Councillor Allen, seconded by Councillor Osanik. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have no delegations, no briefings, so we'll now move into item 8A. And I believe Councillor Allen would like to speak to that.
Just briefly, we had some discussion at our last administrative policies meeting, or maybe two of them ago, when we reviewed the internship program and talked about its success. And we'd like to see more young people interact with City Hall and with the city, especially when we're looking at finding ways to engage youth and provide youth with more employment opportunities. And I feel that providing opportunities at the city that give youth responsibility, hands-on experience, will help them moving forward in their lives. I also I know that there's a member of the public here who would like to speak to this as well. So just please don't forget to include them in the discussion on this motion.
Yep. And Councillor Holland, I believe you'd also like to speak to it.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the motion that was brought forward was something, as Councillor Allen mentioned, we had a bit of discussion on earlier in the council when we talked about open government and ways to engage not just youth but all members of the city. And part of that engagement comes from education. So I think the educational opportunities, we're exploring those a little bit with the Beyond the Classroom program that's been taking place here, which is a great initiative. But I think when I speak with young people in my district and all of the city, but people who want to sort of remain in Kingston, have ties to the city, and they're looking ahead to their future and they want to know where they might see themselves, what opportunities exist in the city of Kingston. And it just so happens that our major employers are public sector employers. So one part of this is that I think it's nice. There's a bit of a focus on job experience to show youth, first of all, the opportunities that exist at the city of Kingston, how broad of an organization, corporation we are, and all the different aspects of that work. The education component as well for engagement purposes, I think, is important. And also, would certainly benefit our principle of open government to have youth involved and to have their feedback going back to the schools. So it's not so much emphasis on paying someone for work, which we kind of had in the last internship program, and that all makes sense. We want to provide opportunities to our post-secondary students in the area, but I think we also want to reach out to young people and find ways to get them engaged in their community. We know that the unemployment rate is high for youth. We also know that the voting rate is very low for youth. So when you can start to show them why the city matters, I think that will have some positive impacts. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to ask staff for input on what, just at a very preliminary level, how they would see what types of opportunity and what forms this direction from council would take if passed, regarding the types of work opportunities that might exist within the city administration.
Commissioner, please.
So the city does actually do a lot of things right now with summer student recruitment on an annual basis. I've got stats going back to 2010, but for instance, in 2015, we hired 189 summer students that came in, got experience on jobs. They are paid jobs and they're paid at a student rate. So we have that as a system to try and get students to come in. It is primarily during the summer, but we also do it during the year and have other opportunities that do come up. Right now, there's a lot of different types of positions that they can come in. There's lifeguards, student junior cashiers, things like skate rentals and student skate patrol. There's student project worker and integration workers are some of the things that we do. We also have co-op opportunities for students already that we do. There's been 109 students that have taken part in that from secondary and post-secondary since 2012. We do support the Take Our Kids to Work program, which is a grade 9 program as well. That's something that if council wanted to see that beefed up and increased, we certainly could look at doing that as well. And then the other part where we could also assist, we have volunteer programs that are already set up around a number of our different areas. I think Request has volunteerism, culture and recreation and leisure already have volunteer programs where we bring people in. So we could do a focus in those areas around high school students if it's appropriate as well. So if we do a report back, we'll look at what the opportunities are there. We'll look at what the resources that are required in order to integrate, because you want to make sure that with a mentoring program that the proper support is given. And before we have any summer student go out and do any job, we actually do health and safety training. We do a lot of things with them. So we got one to make sure if we're bringing students into the workplace that we have those supports and we have the people that can provide them that training. But we realize that our training is very good for them to get their next job as well. So we can look at some of those areas. We can look at enhancements. We could look at specifically around job or career fairs, how we could get out and meet with high school students more as well, and bring back some proposals on how to do that.
And Commissioner Hurdle, please.
Thank you. Through Mr. Chair. The other thing too that we can do is look at the linkages with the youth employment strategy that is being currently worked on in partnership with United Way and a number of other agencies and employers in the community. So some of the things that Commissioner Beach referred to, such as job fairs and things like that, are definitely linkages that where we could look at incorporating some city presence and involvement with secondary school students.
Thank you. CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd just like to talk as well about what I would call a bit of a city workforce development strategy that you know, as retirement takes place and as we find ways to provide opportunity and exposure to students, whether they be at the post-secondary level or the secondary school level, it creates a pool of talent that's familiar with the organization and gives us some ability to integrate people into the workplace and understand our policies and practices and those sorts of things. So it's all good from a strategic perspective. We want to make sure that, number one, we respect union contracts when it comes to you know, not taking work away from the bargaining unit, and secondly, we also want to make sure that the level of effort to supervise students is managed effectively, given that, you know, your health or your safety risk is sometimes a little higher, and you want to make sure that you don't compromise some of the work with that in mind. But I think things like apprenticeship type programs and probationary type work and those sorts of things are other things that we have to start thinking about as well, and working with our collective, the union representatives to help them understand that we're all going to be successful by introducing some of those changes into the way we work.
Thank you. Councillor Stroud.
Yeah, just sort of follow up on that. The other aspect that I don't really see spelled out in this motion and I'm curious about would be any additional financial burden this might represent. The way it's worded now, I'd like to know if staff thinks that there's any significant cost involved with enhancing these opportunities.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, at the moment, I think give us an opportunity to put something together and understand how this could fit into some of our strategic planning. We also understand that, we'll take advantage of whatever opportunities there may be. And at the moment, I wouldn't say that at this stage there's significant financial burden unless we get into hiring additional students and things of that sort to run programs. But if either of the commissioners have a comment on that with respect to their knowledge of operations at a more detailed level, please add.
Commissioner Beach, please.
One of the things that we've actually been doing with, for instance, hiring summer students, we've actually been using technology more in order to simplify our processes as well. So I think that in terms of our process that we used to go to hire summer students was very time intensive, involved a lot of staff time to do. We now do a lot of that through online applications, and so we've cut out a lot of the time. In saying that, though, we want to make sure that there is a proper process that we go through to hire, and when they get on board that they're trained and they have the proper support so that they can do their job properly. So again, we can look at our existing programs that we have and whether or not they can be enhanced, and there could be more opportunities within those areas where they're already set up to provide that. But we would certainly be trying to look for ways to try and streamline processes in order to offset the additional cost of having students come in as well.
Thank you. Anything else, Councillor Stroud?
No, I'll wait for the report that would come out of this process and comment further at that time. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Osanek, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I support a report coming that pulls all the information together about what we provide with students and whatnot. But when I read this motion, I didn't even know we were getting a report, and I wasn't going to support it. But knowing that there's a report, I will. And the reason I wasn't going to support it is because the high school students, they do have those summer job opportunities now that the commissioners just talked to. And high school students, they're really young. And so if we're thinking about bringing them into an office, it's one thing being a lifeguard and one thing being a summer camp counselor. But if we're thinking about bringing them into an office, if it's during the work period of September to June, they get out of school, they'd only be available for 2 hours every day. And, it's not like we would hire them every day. And they would be from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And our own staff would have to, be with them to guide them, to train them. We went through the same thing with the Ministry of Health, not high school students, but it was tough enough just to have a college student come in 1 day a week because there's no continuity. You really have to work hard, time consuming for the employee to come up with a project for them to do when they're only working on it for a few hours every week. Because in this workplace, it's here's the project, it's due in 2 days, get it done. And you can't really give that to a high school student because they can't be that committed to it. So that's definitely my concern with going further. But I do like the idea, since the commissioners have offered, to do one report that ties everything together for the public. And also what we saw in our last committee meeting in December was, I think the best opportunity for council and would be most helpful for council is to really take advantage of the master's internship program that's here. So what we saw in the report is that there is only 6 counselors out of 13 of us, including the mayor, that provided any projects for the intern. We can definitely expand that, give more topics for that intern to research, and hopefully all of us, all 13 of us, can provide lots of opportunities for that intern. So that's my concern. High school students, because they are so young, their classes, they're not available to after 3 o'clock, and that makes it hard for our staff that might be working 8 to 4, 8:30 to 4:30, very short time for them to, be able to supervise and give them anything to do if we're thinking about bringing them in to our office environment. Like I said, different if they're lifeguarding. We've always had lifeguards as students. Different if they're doing any type of outdoor summer job. I was a camp counselor. I was a gymnastics coach. If this motion is about office work, then that's much more complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Wait, we're not on the floor for debate yet, is it?
No, but I just had a quick comment with it. So there's been a lot of talking about having staff report back, but it actually doesn't have that wording in there. So I was wondering, Councillor Allen, if in the 5th paragraph in the resolve clause, that the wording could be changed to staff be directed and report back with opportunities, because it doesn't actually say report back anywhere in there. Would that be acceptable? Okay, thank you. All right, so any other comments from council? Or sorry, administrative policies? Did you, Commissioner Hurdle or CEO Hunt? Yeah.
We're just trying to think through this a little bit here in terms of that additional wording. I think we like the way it's originally worded, because it gives us a bit of time to sort of incorporate that into the way we're strategizing in our human resource development side. We also know that the youth strategy has a connection with the school boards, obviously, and there's going to be elements that unfold as a result of that analysis that's being done and how that then would fit together. So I'd be a little bit concerned if we came back with a kind of a narrow focused report that was just for the purposes of coming back and didn't give us enough time to think through the real benefit of what's being requested here. So I think the way it's actually worded is better for us.
So then it would just kind of be an ongoing initiative? With
Yeah,
the original
I mean,
wording?
we understand what we're being asked to do, and it's not, let's say, heightening it to the extent that, maybe the union would kind of go, oh, what's going on behind the scenes? It gives us a chance to facilitate the outcome and to capitalize on the opportunities a little bit. Again, Cynthia or Lanny, would you have any further comments on that?
Commissioner Beach?
I would assume that if there are ways that we can enhance our programs that are existing and they don't involve further cost, we would just take this direction and integrate it. But I think our expectation is that we would report back to you on where we're actually seeing some improvements happen as well on the student front. But I think the wording here is sufficient. When I read it, I assume that we would be.
Okay. Commissioner Hurdle?
Just to maybe add to the comments that have been made, the 2 school boards are actually at the table on the youth employment strategy. So there have already been a number of discussions in terms of how we can do a better job, one, to educate younger students in terms of a selection, a career selection, and provide them with additional information and opportunities to get a better understanding of the different jobs that are out in the market, and also future jobs that are not yet out on the market. So how do we make sure that the guidance counselors, for example, have that information or get more connected to that? So I think there are probably some elements that the committee is wishing to get to in this motion that are already being discussed at the youth employment strategy, and that's supposed to be coming back to council in the late spring, early summer of this year.
Okay, thank you. So with the original wording, then if there's no more comments from the committee, we'll move to the public. Okay, any comments from the public? Okay, Mr. Hassan, could you please state your name and address? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jimmy Hassan, and I live at 771 Tanner Drive, Kingston, Ontario. Thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, and many of the staff members probably remember me on July 15th to 2014. I really appreciate that you guys adopt that motion was brought to the council at that time, and I think Lisa is also the witness for that motion. Personally, I'm attached to that motion emotionally myself. I request you let's not forget that we are not talking about only youth employment, but it was other awareness for that I am worried as a citizen that I have 3 young children. Back in 2014, when I came with this idea to the council with the help of Brian Patterson, was my counselor at that time in Trillium District. I told him that I'm worried about it. The population or young generation every day is declining for their interest in the civic engagements. The many people have no knowledge about, and then they have no interest because of lack of knowledge. It was a surprise for me that my neighbor, he born and raised in Kingston, 65 years old, he doesn't know at that time who is our mayor. And I asked him the question, do you know who is our councilor in our district? He couldn't answer for that. And I was surprised, and I started getting worried because being from the third world country, I know how important it is to being engaged civically and having your obligation as a citizen. This program particularly is not only provide the opportunity to the youth for the work experience, but also will give them the opportunity to learn about our local government and about the clerk's work, how hard you guys work, how hard the city staff work to make our city the better place for everyone in the city, and how hard you guys are all working to make our city the #1 city in entire Canada and the world. So for these bases, I'm emotionally attached to it, and I want you guys to consider this one, and I will appreciate that. If we have the high school student, this is a grassroots level, we can teach them how important is the civic engagement for any citizen. They will come, they will have experience, and they will have hands-on experience with the counselor, with the staff. They will see the system, they will learn through the computer, through the research, through the mentorship. They will go back and talk to their parents, to their classmates, and everywhere else. And slowly, their awareness will be raised. Their interest will be built. Also, if they have the opportunity to have the employment within the city. And I think it is very important to not consider only this employment opportunity, but it is awareness and raising the interest of the public and our young generation. Our children is our future. Then our children is also future of this country. We have to help them to learn their jobs and duties as a solidarity and loyal Canadian. If they don't know, ladies and gentlemen, I'm worried that you will not have a quality leader in the country. And then our beautiful system and a strong system, we will not make it more strong. Every day we sit down and curse each other and find the excuses to not doing the job right. That's not a right thing. I don't feel that anything is easy in our life, what we do. Every task you have, even raising your own children, it's not easy. You go through a lot of difficulties, emotionally, financially, physically. So take this motion as a challenge. That is a challenge for us. We have to go through maybe some hardship, financially or physically or the time-wise, but you will do a great job to start raising the awareness in our coming generation. So who's responsible for this country's future, and they are our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. Any other comments from the public? Mr. Dixon? Thank you, Mr. Dixon. So, seeing no further debate, we'll call the question on the motion. All those in favor? That passed unanimously. So now we're going to need to have a motion that the Administrative Policies Committee resolve itself into the Board of Management for Reader Crest Home. Moved by Councillor Stroud, seconded by Councillor Osanik. All those in favor? That passes. And then further to that, an additional motion that the Rideau Crest Home Board of Management resolve itself into the Rideau Crest Home Board of Management closed meeting and relocate to the Councilors Lounge to consider the following item: personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board members, Rideau Crest Home Administrator, and extended care. So can we have a mover for that motion? Councillor Holland, seconded by Councillor Stroud. All those in favor? Thank you.
There's two down there. I'm not sure which room. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we'll get going here. So we need a motion to rise from the Rideau Crest Home Board of Management closed meeting. Councillor Osanik, seconded by Councillor Cannon. All those in favor? Okay, so now we're just the Rideau Crest Board of Home Management, and I believe there's a report.
Good evening. This report contains information from November 20th to December 17th, 2015. Our current occupancy rate remains high at 99.64%. There was one incident that was reportable to the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care during this period. This incident involved one resident who grabbed another resident's walker and attempted to pull her down the hallway. The resident sustained a contusion, and therefore the incident was reportable to the ministry. The home continues to work closely with the psychogeriatric team in developing plans for our residents with complex behaviors. Some of these residents have required one-to-one staffing to ensure the safety of the resident and of other residents. We've been very successful in recouping expenses for the one-to-one staffing through the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care High Intensity Needs Fund. In 2015, we applied for and received reimbursement from the ministry of over $250,000. Our wait list continues to grow. Currently, there are 311 people on our list. We can happily report that we had outbreaks during this period and to date, making the Christmas season at Rideau Crest very exciting, busy, and there were many events during this Christmas season, which included our very own Christmas parade, family Christmas teas, lots of caroling, children's choirs, and a variety of entertainment. The Ladies Auxiliary provided a New Year's Eve dinner, and the menu included prime rib, Yorkshire pudding, roasted potatoes, and baby carrots. The meal was completed with a lovely chocolate mousse torte. The Life Enrichment team is thrilled with the results of our volunteer fairs and recruitment efforts. January 2015, we had 56 registered volunteers. In July, that number increased to 91, and by December 31st, we have 128 registered volunteers. As of the end of November, we were $102,000 under budget. The home will return $31,000 of unspent nurse practitioner funding, as this position was vacant for a period of time. We will be paying out $33,000 in payroll for lieu time benefits, and we have another expense of $10,000 for CPIC screening. All long-term care homes report to the Canadian Institute for Health information on a quarterly basis on a number of factors that outline the level of care residents require from staff on a daily basis. From this reporting, we get our funding. They determine the level of care that we're providing and determine the funding. For the CIHI fiscal year of April 1st, 2014 through March 31st, 2015, the CMI is predicted to be around 1.0273. which is a 0.0749 increase from the previous year. This is a significant increase and will generate increased Ministry of Health funding for April 2016. Slightly over budget include food supplies at $25,000, utilities at $21,000, overtime in medical and nursing $72,000, which is down compared to $50,000 compared to 1 year ago. We have, as I said before, we have $230,000 approved high-intensity needs reimbursement, which will offset that overspent. Labor relations costs are $33,000 over budget, and life enrichment was currently $20,000 over budget, but we did receive $5,000 from Extended Care Gala monies, and that was deposited. Overall accommodation revenue is under by $4,000, but we are anticipating minimum basic revenue recovery of $50,000 from the ministry upon submission of our 2015 long-term care annual report and reconciliation of actual basic revenue collected versus forecast on the 2014 numbers. We have attached Exhibit A, our most recent results on our risk indicators that are publicly reported through the Health Quality Ontario. And I want to go over those reports, or that report. Our daily physical restraints for the most recent quarter is 7.5%, province being 6.9%, and the Southeast Lynn being 11.6%. Having stage 2 to 4 pressure ulcer, we have 3.9%, the province is at 6%, and the Southeast Lynn is 5.5%. Residents who have fallen, we are higher than the provincial average. We are at 26%. The province is at 14.1%, and Southeast Lynn has 16.7%. We, part of our falls prevention program, we have adopted that we will continue, and when we do our plan for the Health Quality Ontario, we will, part of our plan will be to ensure or continue to ensure that our residents who fall continue not to sustain injuries. And our stats show that approximately 99% of our falls do not result in injuries. Taking antipsychotics without diagnosis of psychosis, we are a little bit above the provincial average. We have come down from a year ago. We were at 31.1% a year ago. Currently, we're at 27.6%, province being 24.9%, and the Southeast Lynn being 28.7%. Our nurse practitioner and our medical director are involved with a provincial strategy to help all long-term care facilities incorporate measures to reduce the use of antipsychotics in long-term care, and they're involved in that strategy. Worsened bladder continence, we remain under provincial and Southeast Lynn at 13.9%, province 18.2%, and the Southeast Lynn being 17.6%. And I'm sorry, I don't have the emergency room visit statistics for you tonight. And I'd like to add that part of our budget for this year, we have added one full-time best practice champion who will be working with the quality group and monitoring and ensuring the programs are in place and improving our statistics. Okay, any questions?
Any questions? Councillor Allen?
We had 2 Rideau Crest fairs in-house.
Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you for the report. And so I'll need a motion now to rise from the Board of Management for Rideau Crest Home. Councillor Allen, seconder. Councillor Cannon. All those in favor? Approved. All right, so we have no notices of motion, no other business, no correspondence. The date and time of the next meeting is March 10th, 2016, and a motion to adjourn. Councilor Osanek, seconded by Vice Chair Holland. All those in favor? All right, and we are adjourned. Thank you.